The Incredible Hulk.
Oh, interesting. Aquaman. Because I don't like the water.
I guess he would be sort of Professor Belligerent, maybe. It's like whatever, you know, maybe he's kind of like, and maybe he has a transformation down the line, but initially his whole power is one to infect and impact. He's a baddie and he wants to impact and affect belligerence. So he encourages a sort of apathy.
The Incredible Hulk.
Oh, interesting. Aquaman. Because I don't like the water.
Anything involving like slime or gunge or like mess.
But I played the worst superhero ever.
Yes, yeah.
I'm sorry, it's such a douchey thing to be like, me. The worst superhero is a Nazi.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad thing to be,
Yeah.
in general, but especially
Yes, especially if you got powers.
and then still choose to be a Nazi.
Yeah.
We've got an episode that's about female characters in superhero movies, and a type that I see that I like the least is where you have a very tokenized female character who is sort of powerful in a sort of patronizing way, like it's been written by men who want her to make her seem strong, so they just give her sort of generic lots of powers. And that's what we wanted to put in the show. We've got a character called the Lilac Ghost who is effectively that character.
I get kind of freaked out when I see the superheroes that don't wear pants. Like how Wonder Woman doesn't wear pants. I'm like concerned that she's like gonna be cold or something.
Yeah.
You know, especially like when you're flying really high in the air, it gets cold up there. And so I would really hate to be, you know, a superhero who didn't get to wear tights or pants.
I was going to say a corset, but then actually I think that would probably be quite good to like feel like cinched in. But I wouldn't want to wear a corset all day long, which I have done in the past. Yeah, cape,
They
kind of
seem really
annoying.
impractical.
Yeah.
The one that won't let you pee. Anything that takes... that. There should be superhero... why am I illustrating it? There should be a flap. That's all I'm going to say. Anything without a flap is the worst.
I'd imagine so, yeah. It's got to be about your comfort.
The one I wore in classic Loki because it had no muscles and I wanted a muscle suit.
The costume from the old Batman series starting Adam West. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just baggy and
Baggy
just
old
like
underpants.
nothing. Baggy
No
underpants,
muscles.
Zero muscles. Like bat things that would just be droopy.
Yeah.
One that goes up your jacksie, I think, is the worst costume for any superhero.
Gauze, no? Yeah.
Like,
And sometimes you have a little tail on your back.
sometimes you don't have a little tail.
No, I mean, it's just. Oh no! I'm getting lost.
Get fired.
Get fired. Yeah.
I was on a show once where the showrunner died during the production. That was, and then we took two days off, and they were back at it. They had a heart attack. They died, and then just like someone comes in, picks it up. We gotta move. We gotta keep moving. Gotta keep moving. Money.
Someone could die. If someone died, that would kind of, it'd be bad.
Yeah, I agree.
Anyone getting hurt is obviously always the worst thing, really, in reality. But in terms of like less lethal stuff, because there's genuinely a concern every time, isn't it?
Camera going down.
Camera going down. Oh man, I'd say that is the worst thing.
I've
Camera
done an
going down in the
overnight
middle of a
shoot.
take.
Found out BCam was not recording
Yeah.
the entire night and having to reshoot everything during an overnight.
On Succession, we were out on location one day, filming out in Montauk, and someone told me about Lyme's disease, which I hadn't heard of. And they said there's lots of ticks around here, and if you get one in your leg, you might get Lyme's disease. And I realised I was wearing, not unlike these, quite short, I thought quite nice, but quite short trousers. And everyone else had got like long trousers tucked into their socks so they couldn't get ticks in their legs. And then I got back to the hotel and found a tick in my leg.
If things get stuck, they have to be moving. Nobody should have the impression that you're stuck. The moment anyone feels that, the rumors spread that the shit hit the fan. So you have to pretend that you always have a solution, to and an answer to all these questions that can come up.
Bad gas.
That's a superpower?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
I wouldn't want to know what people are thinking. I think keep that private. It's none of my business.
I think like strength. Anytime you see somebody with like super strength, they're always like fucking up someone's house on accident or like accidentally brutalizing someone that they're trying to treat really tenderly. And, like, that would be really inconvenient. Sometimes you just want to go in for a soft hug. You don't want to, bust somebody open.
In the show, he's called the Gurgler, and he does this sort of throat clearing thing. But they say he's one of the worst. But they say there is someone worse than him, and all we know about him is he's the one that can flick bottle caps really hard. So I think that's got to be one of the worst superpowers.
Minds is actually a really bad power, you know? I don't know if I want that superpower.
I agree.
Because I think, some of your
Nobody wants
closest
to.
friends probably have some very dark thoughts sometimes, and you don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to know. Like, I don't mind if my husband, is fantasizing about someone, but I don't want to know. Can you imagine? Or, your friend is thinking you look terrible, or...
To not being taken seriously if your ideas and your vision don't matter.
He gets fired.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Or
it depends. Well, it depends if we like them or not.
The saddest thing isn't getting fired. I think the worst thing is directors being marginalized, or this has happened several big directors, but they stay on the movie, but they find out that they're no longer directing it. So the machine sort of takes over for them, and the director becomes this sort of little figurine that's kept over here, and they think they're making the movie, but actually there's like another movie that's happening behind their back.
Ian?
The funny thing is when you translate the heroes to German, it all loses its power. Fledermausmann, Batman, for example. Spinnenmann.
Loki? What is Loki? Why is it called Loki?
You'd have to ask Tom Hiddleston.
Atomic fart.
Wow.
Atomic fart, man.
I think you could pull that off.
Yeah, maybe that's not the worst.
Yeah. I think they all kind of make it work. Like Catwoman, if you think about it, is not an amazing name. Catwoman. But somehow it's become this iconic, cool character. So I think it's all about who's playing it.
Stormfront. Do you know what Stormfront is? It's a white supremacist website. It's
Cool
also
stuff,
Billy,
guys.
Also Billy Joel album.
I seem to remember there was a sort of, they wanted to make a British equivalent of Captain America. And I think it was just called Captain Britain, which is an absolutely awful name for a superhero.
Yeah, I think Tony had one like the dehumidifier. So it's basically a superhero that can just sort of dry out the air. That's quite a bad one, I would say.
Bratwurst. Ooh.
Or sausage. Or sausage.
With very sharp razor teeth.
Yeah, Tom Hardy plays that in Venom.
Oh, that's Venom?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
In a world
of his own. Belligerent apathy. I would like to see a sort of maybe a middle-aged woman superhero who's very kind of powerful with many superpowers, who is maybe his nemesis, who would kind of come in and, make him wash up. Stuff like that, maybe. I don't know. That would be a terrible pitch. That's never going to happen.
I only have good pitches, so it's very hard for me to.
Godzilla fucks King Kong.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
The hero who, God, he sucks. He's just
He's
a
just
nasty
annoying.
little guy. And oh man, it's a Rat Man.
Rat
Man versus Big Cheese.
Big
the
Cheese.
Big Cheese.
Yeah, although I would
versus
watch
Rat
that.
Man.
I would watch
Yeah.
that.
There's this guy and he's got an earthquake glove.
Yeah, this guy.
He rides an invisible jackhammer.
Yeah, like that. And just as he's saying goodbye to his wife, a Chinese tractor just pulls into the back of the shot.
2 actors got fired after the read-through.
That was scary because
For
then
the
you know
pilot.
what's going to happen.
Because then you know that every single person's job is vulnerable.
So as you can see, the worst thing that could happen to anyone is get fired.
Getting fired.